practice for anger today.
Awesome.
Anybody have any of that?
Me.
Me.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, we have a lot to be angry about, I think. So we'll talk a little bit in a moment about kind of where we hold that anger in our bodies, how we can work with it through our yoga practice. But what I'm going to have you do is start on your back and come into bound angle position. Good morning, Tracy.
Morning.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. So just come down. You can put blocks under your knees if you like. Okay. So you might want a pillow under your head. You might want to have your blocks under your knees. Now we're just going to take a couple moments to settle in here into our bound angle on our backs. I'm going to stay seated so I can continue to kind of talk about this topic as you take a few moments to center and breathe. I'll give you a moment to just get settled in there. And just allow yourself to really let the shoulders relax, let your belly soften, and we're going to just start to breathe into the belly. And I'm just going to share a little bit about what one of my teachers has to say about this. I listened to him lecture the other day, and he was talking about anger. And he said that we must resolve our anger, our resentment, our lack of compassion, and our judgment, because all of these things weaken and dampen our spiritual fire. So when we have enduring anger that kind of goes on and on and on, it takes us in a direction away from our spiritual practice. So the yogas have a word for spiritual practice. That word is tapas, like small plates, but it's not the same thing in this case. So we apply that spiritual fire to our practice, whether it's our yoga practice on our mat or our meditation practice or our prayer, whatever it might be. It takes a lot of fire and dedication to keep doing our practice, right? The more inconsistent we are, the less effective our practice is. All of you guys are showing up every week, so you're very consistent in your practice. But the more we kind of spend our energy on things like the anger and the resentment, then the fire is going into our anger, as opposed to that fire going into our practice. He says that anger can mobilize us, help us realize that something is wrong, that we need to make a change or do something about it. But he cautions us not to carry that anger with us. Anger often comes from not getting what we want, not being in control. And then our experience is colored by those desires to be in control. So the yogis offer a solution, and that solution is to practice non-attachment, right? So we can want things, we can have desires, we can want the pandemic to go away or whatever it is that we're angry about, but we have to stay unattached to the outcome of that. Because when we are really attached to that outcome is when that leads to suffering. And another person that I read, David Frawley, he's a scholar of Ayurveda. He says that anger heats up our blood, our liver, our heart, and creates internal fire. And thereby can create things like hypertension, insomnia, irritability, and mental nervous system imbalances. And it can burn out our nerves. And anger turned inward can cause things like high blood pressure and depression. So we're going to move on from there in a couple more breaths. You can think about maybe how this relates to you in your life and what's been happening with you. Okay, so from here, we're going to stay on our backs in the bound angle, but we're going to try and walk our feet apart, almost as wide as your mat. And this is called frog. So think about little frog feet turned out, and your hips are now getting a little bit more open. We're getting a stretch to our inner thighs, and you might be feeling a little work in your outer thighs. I'm going to ask you to bring your hands on the inside of your thighs, and then gently press your thighs and your hands into each other. And you'll feel that deepening of that stretch, and maybe the outer hips engaging more. And then just relax for a moment. We're going to do that 2 more times. The inner leg is the pathway in Chinese medicine of our liver meridian. And you might have heard, we hold our anger in our liver. It's the organ associated with anger. Go ahead and relax. Do that 1 more time. Press legs and hands together. The outer leg is associated with the gallbladder channel. So both of these are the pathways in Chinese medicine associated with anger. So when we open up the pathways that are associated with these particular emotions, it can help us balance them. Okay, relax, and let's bring those knees back up to the center. And then we're going to take our hands and make fists. And we're going to tuck them under our booty. And if you want, you can put a blanket down if this is hard on your hands. And if you have like crampy hands, arthritic hands, then just skip that part. But if you can, you're going to stick your fists under your booty, and it's going to be a little booty massage. So you're going to take your feet apart, again, as wide as your mat, and then just windshield wiper your legs side to side. And you'll feel that your knuckles of your hands kind of massage into the glute area. So we are going to do at the end of practice a little acupressure series that works on these different points that are helping to relieve challenging emotions like anger. And this is one of them, the area of our glutes. So we're targeting some acupressure points in our glutes as we windshield wiper our legs side to side. All right, and then go ahead, come back up to center, and we're just going to hug those knees into the chest. Okay, we're going to come over to the side and come on up into a seated posture. You might want to sit on a pillow or a blanket. We don't need a whole lot of props today, but if you have a blanket or a pillow to sit on, we're going to be seated for a little bit of time. Okay. So we're going to try and do a little self-discovery today to see where we hold anger in our bodies. And in order to do that, I'm going to ask you guys to bring to mind something that's really irking you, something that's really getting you going, getting you angry. And I want to visualize that for a moment. So what we're going to do is make fists with our hands. And I want you to close your eyes for a moment and just bring to mind something that's making you angry. And have a real kind of somatic experience of it. What does it feel like in your body when you start to feel angry? So really kind of feel it. Notice where you might have sensations in your body. Really kind of experiences it. It's happening right now. So just kind of be in the moment of anger. Okay, and then just let that go for a moment and just notice where you feel it. I'd love to unmute you guys and hear all your responses. Maybe you could let me know at the end. But typically, we're feeling it in our gut and in our belly. We're tightening in our gut. We're getting really kind of tight in our shoulders and in our arms. So when we're angry, kind of like, everything kind of contracts inward, right? So we're going to work on releasing the area of the belly, moving energy through, and helping us process and digest any kind of challenging emotions. And then we're going to relax at the end, more of kind of a sense of surrender, and work on those acupoints. So we're going to take our hands back into those fists. And we're going to take an inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze your hands, make them tight. And then inhale, open the hands and spread wide through your fingers. And do that a few more times. Inhale, squeeze. And then exhale, release. Go ahead and do that 2 more times. And 1 more. And I just feel that tension in the body. Anger creates a lot of tension. And then let those palms open. And then once you just sit there for a moment, we're going to do a little breath practice before we get moving a little bit more. So this is called Shatali Breath, and it is a cooling breath, great for summertime, and great for a hot day, but it's also good for cooling kind of hot emotions. So anger is considered a hot emotion. So how we do this breath, some of you have done it with me before, is we stick out our tongue. So you stick out your tongue and try to curl your tongue up. So I'm gonna come a little closer into you guys. So you stick out your tongue and you make a little curl. Some of us cannot do that genetically. So if we can't curl the tongue, we're gonna do it through pursed lips. Okay, so we're gonna inhale through the curled tongue. We're gonna close the lips and we're gonna exhale out through our nose. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple rounds of that. And as you inhale through your curled tongue or your pursed lips, you're going to notice the coolness of the air coming into your body. When you exhale, I'd like you to notice the warmth. So as if we're releasing heat from our bodies. So imagine, visualize inhaling coolness, exhaling excess heat. So if you're feeling really hot, you can do this practice, and it's said to help cool the body. Continue for a couple more rounds. As you do, I'm going to just share a quick little Rumi poem with you that relates to this handwork that we just did. So this is from Sufi poet Rumi, written thousands of years ago. Your grief for what you have lost lifts a mirror up to where you are. So bravely working, expecting the worst, you look, and instead, here is the joyful face you've been longing to see. Your hand opens and closes and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contraction and expansion, the two as beautifully coordinated as birds' wings. All right, so go ahead and take one last breath there, and then you can let that Shatali breath go. You're welcome to bring it in at any time, start to get overheated in your practice. Now we're going to take our arms up toward the ceiling. We're going to make those fists again. So we're going to do some things to really move energy. So bring to mind that thing that's really getting you upset right now, and we're going to punch it out. So punch, punch, punch. That's it. And just really get some good energy going. That's it. Sometimes anger gets really stuck in our bodies, and we're stuck in that tension and in our mindset. We got to let it move it through us. So anger is an energy and it needs to move. And if we suppress it, it really just causes damage to our own body, our own hearts. So this is good to get those aggressions out. Good. And now slowly start to come to a release. Okay. All right. So from here, we're going to bring our right shin right in front of you and fold your left leg back. And if this doesn't work for you, just take a simple cross leg position. So right leg is folded in front, left leg is folded back. And then we're going to start to hinge forward. So walk your hands out in front of you, any amount, and you might notice you're starting to get a nice little stretch into your hips, into that outer leg, and that's again the gallbladder channel in the body. So take a couple breaths there, kind of pull your right sit bone back behind you to help lengthen the tissue there. Gonna hold one more breath. And then we're gonna walk it over toward the right side. So you're gonna walk towards your right leg and kind of walk those hands out a little bit more. Now, if you wanna go farther here, take your right hand to the floor and take your left arm and reach it over your ear. So we're getting a nice expansion through the side body there. It's almost like thread the needle, but a little different. And that's optional, so always listen to your body. One more breath. And then we're going to walk it back through the center and switch the legs. So now we'll take the left leg out in front, fold the right leg behind you, or sit cross-legged. First round, we're just walking it forward. So walk your hands forward, pause when you feel like you've come to a good stopping point. And then we're going to pull that left sit bone back behind us. Let me take a couple of breaths there. Always find the breath moving into the belly, lower abdomen. And then we're going to walk it over toward the left knee. And you can stay with that or put your left forearm down on the ground. Take your right arm, reach it over your ear so you get a bigger side stretch. And then make your way back through the center. And we'll come back up, bring the feet up, and just do a couple windshield wipers side to side. Okay. So if you're on something that's really thick, you can take it out from under you. You can keep it if it's kind of on the thinner side. We're going to keep our feet up like this. And then bring your hands behind you. And we're going to drop both knees over to the right. Almost like the pose we were just in. And now come up and reach your arms behind the back of your head. And you're going to take your thumbs along your hairline on the back of your skull. And you're going to go about a half an inch away from the center point and press your thumbs into the back of your skull, right along the occipital ridge. So that's another one of the acupressure points that we're using today. So we're going to inhale, and as you exhale, we're going to side bend over toward your left side. That's it. And then inhale, come up, and exhale, twist toward your right side. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, come up and twist. And then keep that going for a few more rounds. We're going to be doing this on both sides. And what we're doing is kind of stimulating into the abdomen, into the organ body. So when it comes to like kind of holding that anger in our gut, things like twists and back bends are going to help open up that space. One more time on this side. Good. And let's come back to center, release. Bring your feet in front of you. And now drop the feet the other way. So knees are pointing towards your left, hands behind the back of your head. Good. Now inhale, tall. Exhale, side bend towards your right. Inhale up through center and then twist. And then keep that going. So liver is one of the major organs we're targeting, and that is on the right side, kind of right underneath your chest, underneath your upper rib cage. And so we're giving that a little squeeze as we're doing this work. One more cycle. Good, and then back to the center, release your hands, bring your feet out in front of you. And then one more time, we're gonna windshield wiper those legs side to side. Okay, so we'll come into tabletop pose from here. Come in all fours. Pad the knees if you like to have some cushioning. All right, we'll do a couple rounds of regular cat-cow, and then we're going to change it up. So take an inhale and exhale, round your spine. And as you inhale, think about, can you feel a stretch in your belly? So you want to move your sit bones and your rib cage away from your navel. And then as you exhale, they're curling in and squeezing the belly. And then reverse and stretch the belly. Couple more like this. So again, you might have felt that when we did that little visualization that we start to hold and clench and tighten into the area of our gut when we're feeling really angry. So when we do our yoga practice, it helps to release that kind of blocked up energy in the abdomen. Okay, let's come back to child's pose from here. Take a little break on your arms. Hold it there another breath or two. Okay, and on your next inhale, let's come back up into our tabletop pose. And now we're going to do, it's kind of like a side cat-cow. So we're going to inhale, arch the spine. So we're stretching the belly. And now as you exhale, swing your right hip around to the right, make a circle with that hip and draw it back into the center. And then you're going to do that again. Inhale, right side, hip goes out to the right, circle it around. And we feel like a little churning sensation, a churning of the right side where that liver is. So keep that going. Let's do 2 more rounds. It's kind of subtle. It's hard to maybe see what I'm doing. But all we're doing is swinging that hip to the side like you're drawing a circle with your right hip until you round back into center. Last one on the right. All right, let's try that on the left. Inhale, arch. Exhale, swing the hip slightly to the left, circle it around, and do a few more. One more time on this side. And let's release. One more time back to your child's pose. And just breathe into your belly, kind of feeling that energy in the belly that we just churned up. Okay, so this is a good one for being at home today because we got to do something a little silly and nobody can see you, but I can see you a little bit, but you don't have to worry about that because I'll be doing the thing. We're going to do lion's breath. So some of you have done this with me before, but it's a yogi breath technique for getting our aggressions out. And so what we're going to do is inhale up onto our knees. And then as you exhale, you're going to kind of pounce your hands down, stick your tongue out, open your eyes, and go, and just get those aggressions out through your throat. Okay, so that's another area our anger can get lodged is in our throat because if we suppress, it gets really stuck here. Let's try that a few times. Inhale up, pounce your hands down, stick your tongue out, just growl it out. I wish I could hear you guys. Let's do 3 more rounds. Inhale up, hands down, whatever you're angry about. 2 more times. Inhale up, and 1 more time. All right, let's walk the hands a little forward of the shoulders. We're going to tuck our toes and lift up, downward facing dog. Once you're in your dog, just go ahead, pedal out your knees, your feet, bend one at a time, and just work the legs out a bit. Okay, widen your feet a little wider than your hips, bend your knees and walk your hands back. So you're at the back of the mat, folding over your legs. Just keep a little bend in the knees, release your head. And then on your next inhale, we're coming up halfway, hands on your thighs. Exhale, folding forward. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. And then inhale, let's reach all the way up, arms to the sky. And then exhale, release. Let the arms come down. Good. Okay, step the feet apart so they're about hips distance if they're not. And we'll do a couple rounds of half sun salutations. Inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, reach the arms. Exhale, hands to your heart. Let's do 2 more cycles. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. At your own pace. Inhale, rise up. Exhale to your heart. And 1 more round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. And rising up last time. Inhale, reach. And exhale, bring hands to the heart. Okay. Step the feet a little bit wider so they're outer hips distance. We're going to bend the knees, put our hands on our thighs. You can kind of put the hands however they're comfortable for you. And we're going to be practicing one of the yoga techniques for processing our emotions, also good for our digestion. It's called Agnisara. We're going to do a couple versions of it today. So first round is really simple. It's just like cat-cow standing. So we inhale and arch the spine. And then exhale, round the spine. And give your belly a good squeeze. Inhale, arch. Exhale, and round. So we're kind of churning up the organs when we do this. 1 more cycle. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round, and squeeze. And now inhale, come up. 1 hand on the belly, 1 hand on the heart. And take a couple of breaths. And think about softening through your belly and your heart as you breathe. So these are areas that get really tense and tight when we have a lot of anger going on. We might feel that constriction in our chest and around our heart when we really got a challenging emotion. Okay, let arms come down at your side. We're going to add a second component to this Agnisara, and that's the lifting of the pelvic floor. So lifting of the pelvic floor is something yogis talk about a lot, sometimes called Mula Bandha. So it's a Mula Bandha, lifting the root, and it helps contain the emotions, right? So when our pelvic floor is weak, that's it's like energy is escaping. So we want to contain it. So we're going to take an inhale, and as you exhale, lift your pelvic floor up towards your navel. And then as you inhale, you're going to relax the belly and breathe in. And as you exhale, lift the pelvic floor as if you're zippering it up to your belly. And 1 more time. This is equally important for both men and women to have strength in that pelvic floor. It's good for the lower back as well. Okay, now we're going to come back to Agnisara, and we're going to do the cat-cow again. This time, as you exhale, I want you to try and squeeze and lift your pelvic floor. And as you inhale, relax your belly, relax your pelvic floor. So here we go. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. And give a squeeze to your pelvic floor as best you can. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round, and squeeze that pelvic floor. 1 more time. Inhale. And exhale. And then inhale, we're going to come up, 1 hand on the belly, 1 hand on the heart, and breathe again. So sometimes we might be disconnected from pelvic floor and have a hard time finding it and engaging it. In time, that'll get better as we keep working on it. 1 more breath. Okay. So we're going to grab our blocks and put them at the top of the mat if they're not there. So I'll be facing sideways for a little bit. And we're going to stand behind those blocks. Okay. Inhale, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, release your hands down to the blocks. And we're going to step our right foot to the back of the mat. Move your blocks back in line with that front foot, and then drop down onto that back knee. Okay, so as you inhale, we're going to take our left hand and reach it up into a twist. and then release it down. So if you want to be a little more active, you can always lower your blocks or bring your hands to the floor, but you can lift your back knee as you twist. So if you want, just lift your arm. Otherwise, take your right knee lifted up as your left arm opens into the twist. And then you're going to release the knee and the arm back down. We're going to do 2 more rounds on this side. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. 2 more like this. One more time. Okay, keep the knee down now. Inhale, reach your arms up. And then we'll keep the arms up, hook your tailbone forward. So you feel a little stretch in that back hip flexor. And then drop into your front knee. Lift your arms, stretch your arms up and maybe back. So we're trying to open up the area of the belly and the hip flexors. Just squeeze that right outer hip so it doesn't kind of jut to the side. One more breath. And then we'll release, hands down. Lift your blocks if you lowered them. Lift the back knee and then step forward. Folding over your legs. Inhale, we'll rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Very good. Okay, other side, inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Hands to the blocks, and we're going to step left foot to the back of the mat. Drop that knee down for a moment. And you can always lower your blocks if you prefer to have them lower or bring hands to the floor. As you inhale, we're going to tuck those back toes. Option to lift that back knee as you inhale into the twist. Exhale down and a couple more rounds. Inhale, lift up, open. Exhale down, 2 more times. And last one. Good. This time, keep that back knee down and go ahead and walk your hands up. You can pause with hands on thighs for balance, and then eventually take your arms up. Okay, hook your tailbone forward. We're lengthening the lower back, getting a little hip flexor stretch, and then dropping into your front knee. Reach up as high as you can to touch the ceiling, and then maybe go back a little bit, pressing through your front foot. Feel that stretch through the abdomen. Good. Release, hands down, blocks come back up. And then we're going to lift that back knee and step forward. Fold over your legs. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, another round of Agnisara. So this time, we're going to keep the cat-cow movement. We're going to keep the lift of the pelvic floor. But this time, I want you to concentrate on the upper abdomen. And imagine you can kind of roll the muscles in towards center as you squeeze and see if you can get it to come up a little higher. Okay, so let's try hands on thighs. Inhale, arch your spine. Exhale, round, squeeze your pelvic floor and try to get that contraction all the way up toward your solar plexus. That's the top, right below your breastbone. Inhale, arch. Exhale, curl. Squeeze and draw it all the way up nice and high towards your rib cage. One more time. Inhale, arch. Exhale, squeeze. And then release, come up, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Breathe into these areas, nice and soft. So this technique is used by the yogis to help cleanse the internal organs. So it's very cleansing and clearing. So it might be a time to hit a restroom at any point if you need to, but it really helps our digestion. But it's not only to digest food. The yogis say we have to digest our experiences and our emotions as well. Otherwise, they kind of get stuck in us. All right. So now we're going to come toward the back of our mat. Do a couple more standing poses. We're going to step forward with our right foot, back heel down, and bring hands onto hips. So it's warrior one position. Bend your right knee and really resist your left thigh back. So we're still opening up that back hip flexor. Bring both hands to the low belly and pull your low belly up. And that'll help stretch that back hip flexor a little more. Keep bending into your knee. And now bring your arms into a goal post position. So the elbows are bent. That's it. We're going to stay here and think about the area behind your heart and press it into your back so your heart moves a little forward. So we're just kind of opening up that heart space. Hold here another breath. And then we'll see if we can take those arms and reach them up. And just see if you can touch the ceiling. Get as tall as you can with those arms as you bend into your front knee. Maybe reach the arms a little back. Okay, hands onto your hips. Step the back foot in a few inches, and we're going to straighten both legs, setting up for pyramid pose. So the hips and the chest are facing straight ahead. Both legs are straight, hands on your hips to begin, shoulders back. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, we're going to hinge at the front, over the front leg, and bring your hands onto your blocks. Make any adjustments to your feet so that you feel like your hips are squaring forward. And we're going to keep the chest about parallel to the ground. Okay, from here, think about sending your inner thighs back behind you, almost like you're sticking your booty back behind you. At the same time, reach your chest forward. So we're creating length. Hold here. Now, as you hold here, bring your awareness to your right foot and push it forward. And as you push it forward, you'll notice that your hip goes back. And keep that. You can stay right here, or if you feel like you want to go farther, you're going to lower and fold over that front leg. You could lower your blocks or bring your hands to the floor. Let your chin tuck and let your head release. So even if you're in the halfway up shape, is your chin lifting? Can you lower your chin until you feel more neutral in your neck? So there's a reason for this. First of all, the kink in your neck is not so good for your neck. But when we lower the chin, it gives them more softness into the area of the forehead. And the yogis say this helps us kind of subdue our ego. And anger is very much related to ego. One more breath. And the next inhale, we're going to come back up to the halfway shape if you lowered down. We're going to bend into the front knee and step forward, fold over your legs. Let that chin tuck in. And then inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Very good. And hands to your heart. Okay, let's try the other side. You can step your right foot back, or you can go to the back of the mat, step the left foot forward. Either way, we're going to square the chest forward. And for the first one, we're bending into the knee for warrior one. Start with your hands on your hips. Shoulders back, firm into your back leg. And then hands on your belly. Lift the front of the belly up as you bend into your knee. Find your goalpost arms. In goalpost arms, bring the back of the heart toward the front of the heart without like popping your ribs. Don't pop your ribs. And just feel that opening in the heart and take your arms straight up if you like. Try to touch the ceiling. We're lengthening the front of the abdomen. Maybe we reach back a little bit. And then release, hands back to your hips. Step the back foot in a few inches, and we're going to straighten both legs, setting up for pyramid pose. So the forward folds are a little more calming. We feel really amped up really jacked up with anger. Forward folds are going to be more subduing for our system. So hands on hips, shoulders back, inhale, exhale, hinge forward, and bring your hands onto your blocks. Pause there. Send your inner thighs back, push into your front foot as if you're trying to push your foot toward the front of your mat. And then inhale, lengthen your spine, try to drop your chin. You can stay there or fold over your leg. As you fold over your leg, tuck your chin in a little bit. You might lower your blocks or touch the ground. And find a nice soft breath. Good. Next inhalation, we're coming back up. Lift your blocks if you lowered them. And then bend into your front knee and step forward, folding over your legs. Inhale, reach those arms all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, one more round of our Agnisara. So in the beginning, we did cat-cow, and then we did a side cat-cow. So we're going to do a side Agnisara. We're going to do 3 circles on the right, 3 circles on the left, and then we'll be done. Okay, so hands on your thighs. We're going to kind of keep all that pelvic floor stuff as well. Inhale, arch your spine. As you exhale, swing your right hip a little to the right, circle it around and squeeze back to center. Your back is rounded at the end. And then inhale, arch, exhale to the right, squeeze and circle. Kind of cleansing that right side one more time. Three times to the left. Inhale through center, arching your spine, and then circle it around like a churning action, round your spine, and then inhale, arch. 2 more to the left. Last one. And come on up. One hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Take a couple of breaths. So one of my teachers says that this whole practice of Agnisara also helps to light up our wisdom and our intellect, because it works with the fire element in the belly, and that fire comes up toward heart and up toward head, and helps us to use anger in a constructive way as opposed to a destructive way. Okay, let's go ahead and step the feet back in. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. You're going to step back, downward facing dog. And we'll bring the knees to the ground and come into a brief child's pose. We finished our standing work. We've got some seated work to go yet as well. So just take a couple breaths in your child's pose. Two more breaths here, so bring that energy down again. And then when you're ready, we're going to come up to a seated posture. So take your time, and you might want to have your cushion to sit on. Some of you might want to have a block and a strap here as well. You don't have to have the strap, but if you have one, keep it nearby. Okay, so we're going to take the feet into bound angle for a moment and sit up tall. You can hold your ankles if that's available to you, and draw your shoulders back. And we're going to take a couple rounds of the Shatali breath here. So either through your tongue or your pursed lips. Into the belly, close your lips and exhale through your nose. Inhale coolness. Exhale heat. One more round. Okay. So now keep your right leg where it is. Take your left leg out straight. Now, if this knee is high up in the air, you're going to grab a block and put a block underneath that leg for support. If it feels fine, you don't need to have that. And then we're going to flex that left foot. Move back a little bit. Inhale, reach your arms up toward the ceiling. Interlace your palms. Press the palms up. Get as much space in your abdomen as you can. And then as you exhale, reach forward. And then either you can use your strap, you can hold your ankle, or you can hold your foot. Okay. So we're going to inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, fold over the leg. Now we're going to do that with the Shatali breath. So inhale through your pursed lips or your tongue. Exhale through the nose, fold forward. 2 more like that. As you come down, lower that chin, let the forehead drop. 1 more time. Now we're going to stay in the folded position for a few breaths. Let your chin come in, let your forehead drop, and just normal kind of soft breath. Really just have a sense of surrendering, releasing here into this pose as best you can. Now to come out, we're going to come up about halfway, tone the belly, walk your hands up your leg, and come up to vertical. We're going to twist over toward that right leg. So take another twist here. Inhale, lift your chest, exhale, and turn. Breathing into the belly as you hold the twist, another breath. And then we'll release, coming back through the center. Very good. Okay, let's switch out the legs. We'll do the other side. It's called head to knee pose, Janu Shavasana. Flex that foot. And then we're going to inhale, reach the arms up. Interlace the palms and try to lengthen up as best you can. And then as you exhale, hinge forward. You can hold your strap or put hands on shin or foot. And then a couple rounds. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold, tuck your chin in, let your forehead drop. And adding your Shatali breath. Inhale. Exhale through your nose. Two more rounds. And one more time. This time, stay down there, hold it for a few breaths. Surrender the weight of your head, hold it here one more. And then next inhale, we're going to come all the way up. Good, take your time. And we're going to twist toward the bent leg side, almost forgot. Inhale, lift tall, exhale, turn. One more here. And then next inhale, we're coming all the way back to the center. And then we're going to take both legs out wide. So when we do the wide leg positions or in bound angle, any of these, we're opening up that liver channel of the inner thigh. All right, and you can point your toes up toward the ceiling. You can bend your knees here if you have tightness in your hamstrings, or we can keep those legs straight. Now we can stay upright. If you're already feeling a pretty good stretch, you don't need to go any farther. Otherwise, we're going to start to walk our hands out in front of us, and that'll deepen that stretch into the inner thighs. Now, as you fold, think about kind of sticking your tailbone and your booty back behind you rather than create rounding in your back. And then you might close your eyes, go inward for a nice soft breath. You can also do the Shatali breath here if you like. Let's take 3 more breaths. All right, slowly walking it back up. Use your hands, lift those knees, bring the legs back to center. Okay, if you're sitting on something, put that down for under your head. We're gonna make our way onto your back. We're running out of time. I wanna save time for our acupressure series after Shavasana. So come on your back, maybe a pillow under your head, and we're gonna bring those knees into the chest for a moment, rock a little side to side. And then one more chance to kind of get those aggressions out before we rest in Shavasana. We're going to take the legs straight up toward the ceiling, and then we're going to kick. So your feet are flexed, and you're just going to kick, 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 kick. And just think about whatever it is you want to move out, whatever you're angry about. And we're kind of kicking some of those points on the backs of the legs as well. And then release and hug it in again. Just kind of feel all that energy generated in your legs. Maybe some little tingles there. And then knees apart, feet together, and hold your ankles. Now your feet might not be together, more like the big toes are close to each other. Again, a stretch for the inner leg. Letting your shoulders drop, your back ribs drop. And the sacrum. So get heavy through your back body. Nice breath into the belly. And then you might take your one leg out to the sides. We're stretching that inner thigh again. Flex your foot, reach through your heel. If that's too much, just stick with the bound angle shape. And then bring that foot back in and take the other leg out to the side. Reach through your heel and then bring it back in. Option to do both legs out to the sides. Straddle position, reach through your heels, open those inner legs, and then feet back in, back to bound angle position. And then if you like, you can come into happy baby. Bring your feet up toward the ceiling. You can hold your feet or hold your ankles. Got the wrong pants on for that today. All right. One more breath there in your happy baby, or just hug your knees, either way. And then we're gonna come back into center. And we'll find Shavasana. Now you're welcome to take bound angle again. If that was feeling good, you could do knees apart, feet together with your blocks, or just take your legs out straight if that's better. Maybe wiggle it out a little bit, bounce it out with your legs. And then come to a soft, soft breath into your belly. And let that breath be like gentle and kind. Gentle and kind to yourself. Anger is often also directed inward toward ourselves. When we have an unhealthy kind of way of processing anger, we often internalize it, or we take it out on somebody else who doesn't necessarily deserve it. So our yoga practice can help us find more constructive ways to maybe not be so reactive, to maybe channel that energy into something good. And I'm going to have you stay there on your back for a few more minutes. So when we hold on to our anger, it's like doing damage to our own bodies, but even more so, it kind of disconnects us from what we call the true self in yoga. The true self is more of our connection to the divine, our connection to spirit, and anger kind of cuts us off from that connection. So rest here in that place of having, released some of that tension, some of that anger, so that you can find that connection once again. Through presence in each moment, even by being present in our body through movement practice, we can be with our anger as it arises and allow this anger to inspire aligned action while giving ourselves the freedom to safely release our anger and even experience moments of being free from it, flowing with the flux of change that is inherent within ourselves, our lives, all of our life, moment to moment. When we remain angered, we stagnate. We're resisting the natural state of change, consciously or not. And when our anger and feeling of lack become chronic, we put our health at risk while relinquishing our ability to experience freedom. When we give ourselves presence in each moment, we grant ourselves the ability to feel fulfilled, at peace, connected, and content. We can offer that to ourselves through our practice. And when we do, only then can we extend this to our loved ones and to the world. So that was from an article from Yoga International. I can share that with you guys on the next time I email you. It's a much longer article you can read about. So a couple more minutes here. All right, so we're going to take our time now to reawaken, just gently, deepening breath, moving fingers and toes. And eventually I'm going to have you guys move any way you like, stretch it out before coming over onto your side. And then pause there on your side for a few breaths before finding a comfortable seated position once again. So feel free to sit up on a prop if that's best for you. And we're going to do our Acupressure Series before we close out. So there's a couple different points we're going to do, I think 3-4 different sets. We're going to hold them for a little bit and we're going to slowly release them. The first one we're going to do is at the trapezius, which you're going to just put your fingers right on the top center of the shoulder area, base of the neck area. Right in the center is kind of a fleshy, meaty part. And you're going to press your fingers into the top of those shoulders, into the trapezius. And then maybe close your eyes or find a soft point and breathe into that tension there. So tension in our neck and shoulders is often associated with anger. Frustrations can become a pain in the neck. Repressing our anger, which seems to jam your feelings down your throat instead of expressing what you really want to say, can create neck tension. So I'm going to hold there another breath or two. Soft breaths into the belly. And then we're going to very slowly release and let the hands come down and just kind of notice that area. One more breath. Okay, so next one is right on the inside of your arm bones. So if you feel where your kind of round arm bone part is, go right inside there. There's a little indentation where it's kind of fleshy and there's not really much bone. That's where we're going to press next. All right, so these in Chinese medicine are called the letting go points. They're related to the lung meridian, where we often hold a lot of sadness and grief. But here the shoulders kind of tighten up when right in this area when we have a lot of anger. So press into that spot and breathe. So we already also did the gallbladder points on the glute area and in the back of the skull. One more breath here. And very slowly release when you're ready. Let your hands come down and just have an awareness of that area. The next one is called the center of power. So we're going to locate the bottom of your breastbone. So it's right kind of in the center of your chest, go directly down, that's the bottom. And then your navel is the point kind of at the bottom of there. What we're going to do is find the point in between those two. So between the bottom of your breastbone and your navel, right in the middle somewhere, you're going to press your fingers. And this one, I don't want you to press really hard. So just gently press into this area. And then breathe here, right into the midline of your body. This one is said to help relieve frustration, good for also abdominal pains and indigestion, emotional stress, and headache. We're going to breathe into it a couple more cycles. And again, slowly release and breathe into that area. We've got one more section to go. So the next one is 2 for 1. It's the Sea of Tranquility, which is right in the center of our chest and the third eye point. So we're going to use those together. So find a point right in the center of your chest. There's maybe a little indentation. It's often very tender there. So it's right along the center chest line. And then third eye point with your other hand. Sit up tall, close your eyes, breathe. So the third eye point is good for spiritual and emotional imbalances, but also good for headache, can be good for allergy, congestion, and eye strain. Sea of Tranquility is good for nervousness, anxiety, frustration, irritability, chest congestion, insomnia, and depression. We said if we turn our anger inward too long, it can cause depression. And of course, we hold all that tension in the area of our heart, in our chest, when we're experiencing that anger. Okay, slowly release it. Let your hands rest down and have an awareness to those points again. And I'm just going to have you sit there and breathe. You can breathe normally. You can do Shatali Breath if you wish. And I'm going to share a final reading with you before we close. But fortunately, my bookmarker got lost, so see if I can find it. All right, I'm going to read another one. So this one was shared to me by my teacher. So just continue breathing. This is from Barbara Kingsolver. Many of you guys are familiar with her. She writes, in my own worst seasons, I have come back from the colorless world of despair by forcing myself to look hard for a long time at a single glorious thing. A flame of red geranium outside my bedroom window, and then another, my daughter in a yellow dress, and another, the perfect outline of a full dark sphere behind the crescent moon. Until I learned to be in love with life again, like a stroke victim retraining new parts of the brain to grasp lost skills. I have taught myself joy over and over again. I have taught myself joy over and over again. So the yogis say when we want to change something, we cultivate the opposite. So when we're angry, we can cultivate joy and kind of flip that switch. Let's bring our hands together in front of our heart, preparing to close. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bow your head down to your heart. Thank you so much, everyone. Namaste. All right, so feel free to unmute yourselves. I can't do that, so if you want to say anything, you can unmute. Curious if you guys felt that same anger kind of in the gut and in the heart area. Sorry, the sun's in my eyes here. Get out of it. How'd you guys do?
Good.
That's so good.
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 Much
All
needed,
right.
much needed
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, we all need it right now. All right, guys, any questions? I will
thank
see
you
you
so
next
much.
time.
You're a
Thank
blessing.
you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great weekend. And
You
maybe I'll
too.
see you
Bye-bye.
on the lawn next week, I hope.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.